This is my PC that I use it for work a lot because I work in tech, and so I'm on the computer. When I work from home, I'm on this one all day, and then I game on it, do all my video editing and other hobbies, 3D print designs, and circuit board layout, and you name it. I've been a computer nerd since I was very young. Since 1992 is when I got my first computer. Um, and So I'm not super great at fixing vintage radios, but I'm pretty decent at fixing computers. I volunteered at a school that I went to when I was in the seventh grade, sixth, seventh, eighth. Or sorry, I didn't go through the eighth grade. I went from the seventh to the ninth, sixth, seventh, ninth grade, somewhere in there, uh, and they had like rooms full of computers that were they were broke. They were donated from the state, and we would triage them, and that's kind of how I got started doing the computer stuff. But anyway, this morning when I got up, it was I don't know if it's related or not, but it was froze, which never happens. It wouldn't. I couldn't get it to wake up. It had went to sleep after 3 hours, I think is how it's set. But generally, it's always on. But at night, it will go to sleep. But um, and and so anyway, I restarted it because it'd been a few weeks since I restarted it. Worked okay during the workday, but then this evening it started to have some problems. It's restarting itself randomly, and usually that's a power supply problem, and it probably may end up being a power supply in this case. But so this may not be too complicated to fix, but I just wanted to take y'all kind of through the journey with me, but I also wanted to show you a trick that I've learned instead of you having to learn this the hard way, like I did. So the power switch, if you look, I've already took the glass cover off, as you can see, and there's a cover here, and then I actually have removed the screws for this fan, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the power switch is messed up on this case. It's kind of pushed in, and the spring action, I'm not going to push it because I don't want to. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. But the little tactile switch, it still seems to be pretty responsive. So I don't necessarily think it's a problem with the power switch, but what worries me that it could be is it's been like this for a long time. It's been pushed in like that. You get in there where you can see that better. And I don't touch the power switch because I don't ever turn it off, and I've got it set to power on after AC power loss, so I mean, don't really ever need to touch it. Well, today I did hit it whenever it was froze this morning. So I was thinking that maybe that tactile switch is being almost pressed, or it's being pressed a little, which I kind of doubt because that seems like a pretty positive click. But I'll show y'all a trick. If you can't get a computer to power on and you think you've got everything connected right, or you suspect maybe there's an issue with the power switch, what you can do is swap your reset switch with your power switch. So disconnect your power switch, and where your power switch connects on the motherboard, you want to connect the reset to that. And so essentially what happens is the reset button becomes your power switch. I don't really know, who uses a reset button on computers in 2026, but I guess they still put them on chassis cases. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. And actually, the whole reason why I kind of have ever even thought of that was I had a computer that would not power on. And it was actually, I was building a computer for my grandpa. And he had got all these new parts, would put a new it was practically, I think almost everything was new. The case was an older case. And it had like a, new motherboard, processor, RAM, graphics card, TV tuner card. It was a nice computer, even a sound card in it. And it wouldn't power on. And so I kind of thought, we tested. I think we tested the power supply or something, and ended up RMA in the motherboard, and that didn't fix the problem. And I should have just jumped the motherboard with like a screwdriver. I don't, looking back, and this has been a lot of years ago, honestly. I mean, this has been a long time ago. Like, I don't really know why I didn't do that, but what happened was the power switch was bad on it. It had no continuity. I mean, when you would press it, it wouldn't make contact. It made a nice click. It sounded really great. It was kind of like a mechanical style switch. It was an older case, but yeah, the power switch was bad. And the weird thing was, when we had taken that computer apart, I think the computer had been laying around for a little while, but it was working. But I used my voltmeter to ohm it out, and then when it checked bad, I still don't believe that's bad. So I connected reset, and the computer started up. And I'll never forget that, because I worked on it. I spent several hours kind of messing with it. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to connect reset to the power switch, undo the power switch, and then I'm going to run the computer for a few hours or however long it takes to kind of see if that solves the problem. And if that doesn't solve the problem, I will order a new power supply. I normally actually like to even keep a spare power supply around, and I might have one, but it would I don't think it would be big enough to suit me. Well, I do know I have at least one, but so yeah, usually I keep parts like that. But when you're trying to diagnose something on a computer, I'm not going to go through too much of a spill here, but you really want to start with the cheapest part first, and then kind of move up, because a lot of times you'd be surprised. It ends up being the power supply or something like that, maybe, or even something as dumb as a switch. But my wife's computer was having some odd issues. I'm going to just go ahead and get this laid over while I'm talking. So it had some odd issues where the video card driver would uninstall itself, and then the one-handed. There we go. The computer would. You would have to reinstall the video card driver to kind of get it to do its thing, and it was very frustrating. You could restart the computer, and it wouldn't fix it. The screen would just go blank. It would go black, and I'd swapped the cable on the monitor, and that didn't fix it. And I reinstalled Windows. That's always something to try to reinstall in your OS. I mean, there's sometimes that I've seen things that look like hardware problems that end up being OS related. But I reinstalled the OS from scratch. That didn't fix it. It would work for 20, 30 minutes, but as soon as she started gaming, within just a few minutes, usually within a few minutes, the screen would just go black. The monitor would say lost signal. So you would think that would be a video card problem. And it has a Radeon, oh gosh, I don't remember their model numbers. Radeon, I can't remember, 960 or I don't know. It's kind of like the equivalent to a 1660 Super, somewhere in there. So it's not really that old of a card, but and it's been used a lot of hours, but I mean, it's relatively been well taken care of. I mean, it hasn't been overclocked or anything. And so I told my wife, I said, video cards are really expensive. And I said, let's try other things first. And so I said, yeah, it's probably not the power supply, but I'm going to go ahead and order one. And I ordered a power supply and put it in there, and it fixed it. And you wouldn't think that would be a power supply issue. You really wouldn't, because the computer would stay on fine, and it would work fine. Usually it would be okay, but when you started a game, like I said, blank screen, and then it would be as if the video card driver just was not installed anymore. And what it was happening was, and you could probably go in the Windows Event Viewer and kind of look at this, and I didn't even mess with that. But I think when it was crashing because of low power or low voltage, the OS probably has some code that says kind of like, oh gosh, we've got to show any kind of a picture, and it looks like the GPU is failing, because if you just show a blank screen, then you can't diagnose it or fix it, right? It's like, so that's kind of what I think was going on, and yeah, I would restart the computer after the blank screen, and then the resolution would be 1024 by 768. It'd be stuck at 60 hertz, and it's actually a 2K monitor at I think 120 or 144 hertz, and and then I would have to uninstall the video card driver, reinstall it, and then it would work for a little while. But yeah, it ended up being a power supply issue, and that, I mean, that's probably what this is. But this is just a last ditch effort to check everything that I can before I spend money on parts. And I suggest that if you're working on PCs, you take that approach too. Be very methodical. I mean, it's never a bad idea, even if you suspect a hard drive failure. Change a cable, things like that. So, well, anyway, I'll get those swapped around, and just in case you've never seen a motherboard or what those connectors look like, I'll zoom in after I get that done and show you what I did. These are always such a pain. I don't think you're going to be able to see it all that well. I mean, maybe. Well, you can't really see it, but I don't know if I could move the wires out of the way enough. But yeah, this is power switch, and it's not connected. And where the power switch goes, I've got reset, and then the only other ones hooked up is hard drive LED, and then I've got the piezo speaker here, which a lot of people don't hook up, but I like to hear my post beat because I'm old school. But in this case, doesn't have a power LED, so I don't need to hook that one up. So yeah, that's how I did that. But I'm gonna clean this up a little bit because it's getting pretty dirty in here, and then put it back together, and hopefully it'll work. All right, I'm gonna get this fan put back. These screws here are, so if you've never connected a fan to the chassis like this, these are the kind of screws that you get for it. And these are actually, they kind of double as thumb screws. And the reason why that's cool is because especially if you've got a graphics card in the way or other tight places, it's really handy because you can just use your fingers to tighten them up, and you don't have to worry about getting a shorty screwdriver. But I'd like to pretend I was wise enough to figure that out on my own, but honestly, when I ordered them, I didn't even realize they double as thumb screws. And I probably should have took the graphics card out, but I didn't. I just fought it. That's one of the things I ought to know better. When I worked as an auto mechanic, I used to see people just fight stuff, trying to get to something and not being able to get to it, and struggling because they didn't want to take a little bit more apart so they could actually do what they needed to do. Which, I mean, I kind of get. It's a pain, but it's one of those things. Sometimes it ends up being a little quicker to just do it the right way. Spray with the Windex on here. Newspaper would work really good for this, but I don't know. They still make newspaper. I mean, is that a thing? I used to love reading the newspaper. Used to go for the business section first always. Still my favorite part of the newspaper. Whenever I see, like, gosh, I can't even remember the last time I had one in my hand. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'll put this one on first. I think cases are just they're so much cooler now than than what they've ever been. I mean, there's like a huge cool factor. Those of you who've been doing this PC thing a while, like me, you kind of understand that. Where's my thumb screws? Yeah, cases used to be very lackluster. I remember when, it was like, oh, it's just a metal thing to mount my motherboard and stuff to. And, oh, how many hard drives will it hold? How many CD-ROMs can I put in it? And beyond that, I don't think people really cared. And I remember me and my brother, we always thought it was just kind of a badge of honor. Like if you put the side panel on your case, like you couldn't be respected as a real computer nerd. It's like, what are you doing? You don't open it enough to where you can just leave the side panel on. Like what kind of computer nerd do you claim to be? Do you even computer, bro? Check the little power supply. Yeah, that's a little dusty, not too bad. Right. We ain't building no piano. And this is not very, I don't really guess it's all that useful, but it's something that I do. I smell to the power supply, and it doesn't really smell burnt, but then again, I almost smell something. But, again, that's not really, doesn't really mean a lot, but it's just something that I kind of do when I suspect the power supply. So by now, if you're watching this, you will, or those of you who are watching this, you will know whether this actually fixes the problem or not, because if this fixes the problem, then this is the end of the video. So I can't wait to find out. I'm going to have to go plug it up and turn it on for a while, but I think you're going to know a lot sooner. So hopefully this is the end. All right, let's get this package opened up here and see what we got. Yeah, so put that, or got the computer hooked back up, and it only took just a couple minutes for it to kind of mess up again. So these have nothing to do with the power supply. This is batteries for my digital caliper. They just put them in the same bag, but here we have an Apevia. I don't know what Galaxy means. But yeah, the computer the problem got worse really quick. I put it back together, and I think it maybe stayed on for 20 or 30 minutes. And then, then it stayed on for 10 minutes, and then it would basically, as soon as it would boot up, it would shut off. When I looked at the Windows event viewer, I seen it's basically the same exact error that you see if you just pulled the power cord out of the wall. It's a critical severity level kernel power. And anyway, I'm familiar with those errors, but so yeah, definitely seems like it's probably is the power supply. So, and I don't know what power supply is in it. I can't remember. I don't have a huge brand affinity necessarily, but I don't like to spend crazy amounts of money on parts. I mean, I want decent parts that aren't going to fail, but it doesn't matter what you buy, it will be obsolete at some point in time, and it'll go bad. And a power supply is one of those things where I don't care how good it is, it won't last forever. You might get lucky and it'll last a long time, but it ain't gonna last forever. So this is an Apevia brand, and I have used their power supplies before and had pretty good luck out of them. But like I said, I don't have a huge brand affinity for them. I've used like every brand over the years that you can think of. I've had really expensive power supplies, and I've had some of the really cheapest ones too. That I usually put those in like my daughter's computer, my wife's, or like my mom. You know, I think her computer's running on like a $30 power supply. They make it look pretty. I don't think it's RGB or anything. It does have. I do believe the fan will cycle depending on the heat load. So I like that because I think a lot of people like it because it would theoretically cut down on the noise, but these large fans don't make much noise. My issue is that if this runs all the time full speed, it brings in more dust, which can cause overheating and things later. It's full modular. I don't really care about that either. I know a lot of people want to get modular power supplies, but the problem that I've had with them in the past is you end up plugging in pretty much everything anyway. I mean, there might be a couple of these that you don't need. I mean, why would you want the 24 pin to be modular? Are you going to use the computer without a 24 pin connector, without the connector that actually has the wires to turn the power supply on? I have no idea why that would be modular. Absolutely no idea, other than the cool factor. So, but again, it just happened to be full modular. So I don't care. And I guess it's a little bit nice because, like I said, there might be a couple of these that I don't use, but most of them are going to be, at least half of them are going to be plugged in, I'm sure. Yeah, it looking on the inside, I'm not going to take this thing apart and avoid the warranty, but looks pretty sexy in there. I can't see what brand those capacitors are or anything. I can't tell enough. But there's the specs on it. So it's an 850 watt power supply, and on my computer, I like to go a little above what I think I need. I think I could probably get away with a 600 or a 650, and I think I was going to get a 750, and this was going to be like $8 or $9 more to get the 850. And because I would rather spend a little more money, and theoretically being having some more headroom would probably theoretically make the power supply have a little bit more longevity. So I just spent the extra $9 or whatever it was. I think it was $70. And the other thing, so this one has, well, I'll find the connector in a minute, but it has PCI 5. I think they're calling it 5.1. I don't know if that's, sorry, I'm taking it away from the camera so I can see it, but it's here somewhere. So anyway, I'll get this hooked up. Does this not have a, so this does not have a 220 volt switch on it. See that? A lot of times you'll have the little bitty switch you can operate with an ink pen. And by the way, that's something to check. I've seen computers that wouldn't power on, or they would start to power on for a little bit and then kick off. And if you're in the US anyway, if that gets bumped over to 220, you'll have problems. So always check that before you run and order a new power supply. Ask me how I know. And then, of course, we get our new C15, or would this be technically a C10 connector? And a really nice, owner's manual, glossy, semi-glossy paper here. And there's more pages in here than what I thought. I would prefer a QR code, but I think this is part of the experience, the unboxing experience, to have stuff like that in there. So anyway, let's get the old power supply out. We'll see what it is. We'll see how many watts it is and all that good stuff. You always want to have something to put your screws in. This is just the lid for my flux that I keep over here at my soldering station. But normally I use a coffee cup or a magnetic tray. But my magnetic tray has got parts in it because of a radio that I was working on, and I haven't bagged up those parts yet. So I'm just going to unplug what I need to unplug up here. So GPU needs to be unplugged. And then our 24 pins got to come off. All joking aside, I really do. I really do like the newer cases. At least when you look at it from this side, I guess as a general rule, they're just a lot easier to work on because you don't have a giant mess of cables all on one side. And you got I got my Intel connector or whatever. CPU power connector, the double 4-pin up here in the corner, the one that's always a pain. Got that undone. I think that's everything on this side that I need to get. I think. Another good tip too is to have yourself some good light. I've got my LED lights up here that are always on my workbench. They're strips of LED lights, but I've also got a brooder lamp up here with a really good bulb in it. Anytime you're going to work on your computer, these brooder lamps, they work really well. I'll show you what I'm talking about. These are so cheap, and they work better than just about anything. This is a brooder lamp. You can get them at Walmart or whatever, back there with the tools. It costs practically nothing, and it's got this clamp where you can clamp it on wherever you want. So you can bring this in the house, open one of your kitchen cabinet doors or something, clamp this on, put you one of these floodlight bulbs in here, LED floodlight bulbs, and you'll have a lot of nice light for working on your PC, because you want to make sure you have good light. You're a lot less likely to make a mistake, and it's just definitely helps with the frustration level a little bit when you can actually see what you're doing. And we get to see how good of a job or lack of I did on cable management last time I had this thing apart. Well, yeah, definitely I give it a B+. There's a lot of stuff to get out here. Oh, actually, let's get it right side up here for you. So, yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to have to wrestle this power supply out. And so there's 2 hard drives in here that are not being used anymore, and I would like to go ahead and take those out while I'm here. That way I could use them somewhere else. So I think I'll take the time to do that. So anything down here, I'll just go ahead and cut all these zip ties and then start getting it out. We'll got the old girl out. It is a 5 Rosewell 650. So not surprised. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a cheap power supply, but they're known to be a little inexpensive. But this must have been one of their nicer ones. I don't remember buying it, but it's modular. It's 650. It's been in here for probably 4 years. So I got my miles out of it, that's for sure. I also got those hard drives out. This is, in this design, this sits inside, or kind of next to in here where the power supply goes. So here, and it's got a couple thumb screws, and so this is how you put those in. And yeah, these have been unplugged. I'm not using them anymore. And matter of fact, this hard drive, I don't think I need it anymore either. So I think I may go ahead and take it out so that I can use it in my server or something if I need a spare. Ooh, isn't that yummy? All that lint. And I spray this thing out from time to time, but this is just where you can't get unless you take it apart. So yeah, I think we'll clean that up. Check out this racket. I'm getting everything connected here that I need to get connected. And I'm thinking, about how many cables are left. And if I look at the cables that it came with, I mean, I've got this one, and then another PCIe, and another one that has the old, what people call Molex style, and then the SATA power connectors on it. So there's only 3 left in the package, right? But if you count here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 connectors. So I guess you have to go buy those if you want them. That's great. Love that. And instead they could have they could have just made this not modular or made it semi-modular and just included the cables, but I guess they wouldn't be able to sell you extra cables if they done that. And these are not, I know for a fact that these are not compatible across brands, because I checked that one time. I don't remember what brand it was, but it would plug in, but the pinout wasn't the same. So unless something's changed, maybe they're trying to kind of force some brand affinity there. But I just thought I would give everybody a warning on that. I mean, I love Apevia's stuff. I've been using their stuff for honestly 20 years. I've had a lot of their cases and power supplies and fans. Generally good products at a cheap price, but that irritates me. I mean, I don't need those, and I guess most people wouldn't. But yeah, that's pretty irritating that it doesn't come with the cables. This joke may not age well, but I was just looking at my RAM while I plugged in the 24 pin connector, and I got to thinking, if I need an extra kidney, I know where to get the money from. So I was literally going to make this joke when I started the second part of this video, where I was opening the power supply, about how I would actually get through a video on my channel without a soldering iron, because this type of thing should require no soldering. And this connector's broke. I guess it was kind of on the fringe, and when I tried to plug it in, it sort of pushed this pin out. And so I don't even know, is that pin even being used? Okay, that pin's not being used, is it? Okay, we might be able to just roll without that then, huh? Yeah, I don't think we'll have to solder a new one on. But yeah, I was thinking I was going to have to cut this off and then solder a new, try to find one of these like off of an old fan or something and solder it on. This goes to, I think it powers the lights on the case. Not really sure where it goes. I think it goes to the case. But anyway, yeah, so you can see those two wires. They go to these two pins that are still in here, so I should be good without that other pin. Okay, I got everything connected. There's a SATA connector. I don't know what it goes to. I don't even know if I need it or not, but so I've got a little bit more zip tying to do, but this is always one of those I like to stop and just kind of check my work. That RGB is not working. The fan's stopping like that, that's normal. I've got them set to do that. When they're not needed, they don't run. But so those we're missing RGB on this one, and that one's missing RGB, and that one's missing it. Fans on. Yeah, let's hook up that SATA connector and see what changes. All right, take two. Okay, we've got RGB here and here now. Those fans are still on. We still don't have RGB here. We got RGB there, and we got RGB here. So the only thing we're missing is RGB on this fan. And yeah, everything else looks good. I think that beep might have been just the warning for no keyboard connected. So let me see why this fan's not getting any power, or the RGB is not working, I should say. Know why it's not working. As soon as Windows booted up, that's when the RGBs stopped on these fans. And again, remember, they're not supposed to be spinning, so that's okay. But I mean, the RGB stopped on this one too, and it's still spinning. But I'm thinking it might be software related. So Armory crates loading here. I'm thinking the addresses might have changed on them. And let's see if I can remember what to click. Aurora Sync, Aurora Effects. Let's just put it on static and see if that changes anything. Yep, that's what it was. The addresses had changed, and so now this one has got a problem. He is not responding to. Yeah, he's doing his own thing. I think the other ones are pretty static. So that one, something's going on. I wonder. So I've got this adapter thing to go from, like, is it ARGB to the 12 volt style. I don't know if pressing these buttons will change anything. I don't remember how this adapter works. That thing is, I don't know how to make it, to where the motherboard controls it. It's really odd. To go back to static. Set that again. Yeah, now these aren't even, those aren't even respond. I gotta figure out how this works. Now there was a couple of them unplugged, so they all look pretty much the same color. These are a little different. And these, by the way, this is some LED strips, magnetic, that I have. I bought these years and years ago, before the RGB stuff was even popular. But this strip is magnetic, and it goes here, and it goes around here, back down. And when you have the side cover on, you can't see it, but they add a lot of light. There's probably hard to tell on the camera, but they're bright. But let's look at Aurora Sync. I'm just going to set them to do some kind of effect, and we can look and see if they're all in sync with each other. Let's do breathing, I guess. I mean, they're different brands, so there's, you know, a little variation, but yep, I think they're working. All right, I think we got our cable mischief managed. Well, I give it an A-. But yeah, this adapter thing is really, I don't know why. Looking back, I don't know why I didn't do this, but I was plugging one of those RGB connectors into the motherboard. I guess it was the ones with the 3-pin. Gosh, I think that would be the 12-volt style. I don't know why I can't remember that kind of stuff. Or no, I can't remember. I guess it would have been the 4-pin, so that would be the 5-volt. Anyway, I was trying to plug it in the motherboard, and the motherboard has one connector, I believe, on the top and one on the bottom for both styles, which I really like, and I broke one of the pins, and I don't know why I didn't just solder a new pin on, totally capable of doing that. Instead, I guess I bought this adapter for like 10 or 15 bucks. I think it was because it was going to make the wiring so much easier. I don't remember. I guess I don't really like having it now that I'm thinking about this. I don't know what was going on in my mind years ago when I'd done this, but yeah, everything looks pretty much ready to go. And I took that 2.5-inch hard drive out, and then I took those two hard drives out. This is the caddy thing that I showed you earlier. I don't even know. I don't think I'm going to put the caddy back in, or maybe I will. Yeah, I don't even know if I'll do that. I'll create some more airflow if I leave it out, I guess. Decided to go ahead and take the top part off here. I'm going to clean this radiator. It's not too bad, and then clean this a little bit. Got to get them FPS up. Got to cool to get the FPS right. So in case you still think I'm crazy about the thing about not letting some of the fans run until the CPU temperature reaches, you know, a certain threshold. I mean, this was the front. You just seen the top, but look how clean it is. And these are the ones that they only run along with these bottom two. They only come on when the PC temperature reaches, I don't remember, and you can see even the blades are still pretty clean. And these, obviously being for the radiator, they run all the time, and they were significantly dirtier. Now, the way I have it set up, this one runs all the time, and then these run, obviously, because it's for the CPU, these run all the time. And I think this one is exhausting, or this one's intaking, and these are exhausting. Maybe. I don't remember how these are. I guess we could look. Okay, the logo's on this side, so that means it's intaking cold air, I think. And then this one's exhausting. Well, anyway, you get the idea. There's more air going one way than the other during that time. But again, it's running at a low speed along with these. They're running, but they're barely running. And then what happens as the CPU comes up, I believe these two and these three will come on at, I want to say it's like, I don't remember, 30 or 40% maybe. And actually take that back. These two come on first, and they have a lower threshold than these, so these will come on, and a lot of times that will be enough to get that little bit of heat out of the case. But if I'm gaming, for example, you would expect within just a couple minutes these will kick on, and then these will kick on, and then both of these sets will ramp up to a higher speed together all the way up until, I don't know what 100% is. I think the CPU's got to get pretty hot before they hit 100, but kind of the way I set it up was when I'm gaming, I really don't care if they're running at 100. In fact, I think I want them to. So I did set it up so that when I'm gaming, the threshold temperature is low enough to where they will run pretty much full blast. But when I'm just sitting idling, doing my work during the day, doing computer programming or just surfing the web or whatever, most of the time these 5 fans are just, they're not moving, but the LED lights are on, and this one's running at whatever the lowest threshold that keeps it spinning, which I can't remember. I want to say that's 20 or 30%. And then these are set, they're set pretty low too. I don't remember. I used an automatic profile for those, and I don't remember how it's set up, but just a little tip, little strategy you can use. You know, don't think about the fans, they have to be on all the time. I mean, if you want them on all the time, that's fine, but it does bring in a lot less dirt, puts a lot less wear and tear on your fans, and definitely saves on the noise too if you care about that sort of thing. If you can hear your fans running, I mean, your headphones aren't loud enough. I don't know what to tell you. Didn't tell you all the specs, but yeah, I think you, yeah, it doesn't say. This is a Gigabyte RTX 4060 graphics card, and then the CPU is an AMD Ryzen 7 5700 XX. And I don't know what brand the RAM is. It's probably a cheaper brand, knowing me. It might not be. I don't remember, but it's 32 gigs of RAM. And the motherboard is an ASUS. I've used all brands of motherboards and video cards and RAM. Lately I've had past so many builds, I've had a preference for ASUS, but that's mostly because I'm familiar with their website and the Armory Crate thing. But changing the power supply did not fix the problem. Computer still randomly powers off or restarts, and I checked the Windows Event Viewer, and I'm seeing hardware errors along with the kernel power loss stuff. So my next move was basically just to get a motherboard for it. But first I took the GPU out of my daughter's computer. It's an old 1060, and I put it in mine just to make sure it wasn't the GPU. Because the GPU, the fan was spinning up to 100%, even though I wasn't even gaming or anything. It was really weird. But I put her GPU in my computer, and after just a little bit, it's the same thing. It still restarted itself. So I just went ahead and ordered a motherboard. And if RAM wasn't so high right now, I would have just upgraded it to DDR6. Or I'm sorry, DDR5. But with RAM prices being what it is, this is what I got. My other motherboard, well, I'll show you the old board now that it's out. It's an ASUS B550 Tough. It's kind of the same thing, but this one's got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which is cool because I had a wireless card in. I have Ethernet cable running to this computer, but I still need Wi-Fi for certain things occasionally, so, and Bluetooth for stuff. So I had a PCI card in for that has an Intel chipset for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it really sucks. So I'm really happy that this motherboard's got that built into it. Let's take a look at it. Instead of being kind of down about it, I'm kind of trying to be positive, you know, like, hey, it's new motherboard day. You know, used to when you got a motherboard, you got like tons of cables, and I guess I don't do too much of that anymore. Trying to save money. This one, what is this? Okay, I don't know what that is. Are those antennas? I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty much that looks a lot the same. I don't know what brand those capacitors are. Looks good. Don't really see anything that stands out, but I am curious to see what it came with. Not that the accessories are really that big of a deal. I'm just we got our I/O shield, SATA cable. I'm hoping that's are those just stickers of some sort? Okay. That might be for NVMEs, I don't know. I'll probably. Oh, a target. I'll take that next time we go to the shooting range. Okay. Instrucciones. Oh, this is cool. I kind of like having the paper instruction manual because sometimes it's actually easier than going and Googling it. But I guess as long as they give a QR code, a lot of times I would probably, yeah. But I use these little booklets. I actually flip through them, and especially the layout and stuff, I'll look at that. I think it's a good idea to look at that kind of stuff. But all right, well, I guess I'll get started putting this thing in. Okay, I got the computer here on the operating table in the house. The wife's gone and kids are kind of doing their thing, so it's nice and quiet, and I thought this would be easier than my workbench. But I wanted to show you that's the kind of the brooder lamp setup I'm talking about. You can see it throws off a lot of light. And if I turn it off, and it's not even really aimed directly that well at the computer, but you can see there's a big difference. So having that light really it makes this whole process so much easier. Set yourself up for success. And then I've got my magnetic tray, and I've got my electronic screwdriver set. So I'm just going to start, I'm going to flip it over, cut all the zip ties that I just put on, and are the ones I need to cut, and then start taking the video card out and unplugging everything and getting it out of here. Got it out, and I'll leave the NVMe and the CPU and the RAM. I'll just leave it in there till the new one comes in. It doesn't come till tomorrow. Got some thermal paste on some of the pins, so I've got my toothbrush and some rubbing alcohol. Just try to be super gentle. It's already looking better. And I'll finish this up. So this is a new one for me. I was putting the NVMe in because it's a lot easier to do that stuff before you put the board in. And I was like, where do they go? And they have these heat sinks that were screwed on, and it's got kind of like I've seen these before on heat sinks with some electronics I've worked on, but yeah, you just peel this off, and then it's like a thermal glue strip. So that's kind of cool. I mean, this is like overkill. There's a cool factor, but I don't know if you really need a heat sink for it. But anyway, it's pretty neat. Just, I guess they're giving you a little bit more bang for your buck. Well, I guess a lot happened. But the easy explanation here is the motherboard didn't fix it. So what happened was I swapped the motherboard. That didn't fix it. I swapped the GPU out for another GPU that I have. That didn't fix it. I swapped the RAM out. That didn't fix it. And by this time, I should have I don't know why this didn't dawn on me to begin with. It really kind of feel dumb, but by this, and then also that other case where the power switch was, and there's a circuit board there, and so I bypassed all that, and I actually turned the computer on with a screwdriver just to make sure that there wasn't a short in the case somewhere. I even unplugged all the fans, and it was still doing it. So I decided to swap the CPU in the cooler, or just kind of trying to rule out the last two things. And so I took, my daughter's got a Ryzen 5, a pretty new one, not an AM5. It's one of the kind of like the last AM4, one of the later AM4, I should say, Ryzen 5s. And anyway, I got her CPU out, and then I went to put it in my board. I put it in, I decided to go ahead and put her air cooler on it, and I left two of the metal clips for the AIO. When I had taken it off, the clips had fell down onto the motherboard, and I left them on there, and it shorted out that new motherboard, and I mean, it just killed it. And to prove it, I put the old board back in, because remember, the motherboard didn't fix the problem. So I put the old one back in, the computer worked. Then I put just to double check, I put the new one back in. No, nothing. So I was getting pretty frustrated, and I think the problem, honestly, is so this is the old case, and the well, the cooler's still in there. But anyway, the AIO, which you can't see, but I think that it's like 4 years old, and it should have really dawned on me that the thing's probably starting to run out of water by now. And I think what's happening is that every once in a while the pump loses prime. And when it does, it over the course of 10, 15 seconds, the CPU overheats, the computer restarts. And when it powers off for a second, the gravity, because the AIO is on the top, so just enough water trickles back down to give the pump prime again. It's odd because the computer doesn't overheat and the temperatures look super great. So I wasn't suspecting the AIO, but again, I never did really find out whether it was the CPU or the AIO, because once I blew that motherboard, I just kind of got frustrated, and I decided to just go ahead and build myself a new one, and then take my old parts and then use them to upgrade my wife's computer. My wife's computer's got a Ryzen 5 in it, and it's got a pretty old graphics card. It's kind of like the equivalent to a 1660 Super. So it works, but it's not super great. And she only has 8 gigs of RAM. And so I didn't want to spend all this money, but luckily I had it saved up, rainy day, so didn't have to. I kind of do the debt free thing, so I didn't have to. I didn't actually have to pawn a kidney or anything. But this was just wow. I feel so dumb. I mean, all those parts and then doing something dumb like that, shorting a new motherboard out. So I did have to buy another motherboard because my wife's computer's it's a Cyber Power brand, and I didn't really want to use that motherboard, so I just bought her a new board and a new case. And then if my CPU does turn out to be bad, then we'll just put her CPU in it, and then I'll order another Ryzen 7. But I'm pretty sure it was the AIO. But we'll find out when I go to build hers, because I'm going to put my old CPU in it. So I'll probably play it safe, and I'll put her CPU in it just to make sure everything works. And then I don't know what I'll do, honestly. But yeah, here's the board that I got. I'm actually happy. It's got Wi-Fi built into it and Bluetooth. Because I had to have a PCIe card for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, because I have an Ethernet cable going to my computer, but I need Wi-Fi for certain things, and the Bluetooth for others. So I haven't even took this motherboard out, but it's white, and it's an AM5, obviously. So I'm pretty excited about it. Seems to be a really nice board. And then I bought some extra fans. They're white ARGB fans. I mean, I have probably had enough fans, but I decided to go ahead and get some white ones to match everything. And because I can take the black ones that I had and put them in my wife's case, because she got a black case. So these were, I think it was only 15. No, I take that back. These were a little more. So I found some that were like $15 for 3. I guess these things have gotten cheaper over the years, but they didn't push quite as many CFMs. I think it was 47, and these are 62, I believe. Not that it really matters with as many fans as going to be in this case, but so, and then the RAM, this was the one thing that I just couldn't. I wanted to upgrade, but it was the cost of the RAM that kept just pushing me. It's like, no, I'm not going to do it. The RAM's too expensive right now. And I guess this stuff was pretty expensive even before it started the demand got high from the data centers and stuff. But I don't know what the MSRP was. I'm guessing probably I'm thinking the MSRP was 200 and something maybe. And I think I paid, what was it? I don't know, 350, 375. I can't remember. I want to say 375 probably, and this is basically the cheapest I could find. I think there might have been a set that was $10 cheaper that wasn't ARGB and that was a little slower. This is PC. Yeah, this is 6400, and so you can, I think, I forget what the step below that is. It would be PC 48,000 or so. I don't. Yeah. Anyway, it's a little bit faster, and it was an extra $10. So I thought that was probably, in the grand scheme of things, worth it. But and then of course I just went ahead and got a new AIO. I don't even care whether that one's bad or the old one's bad or not. It's not going to get used anymore because, like I said, it's 4 years old. It's probably, they don't last forever. They do lose water over time, and so, or I don't know if is it. Yeah, I guess it is water. I was going to say, they don't think they put glycol or anything in them. I think it is just DI water or something. But I don't remember what brand this is, but it's white. So it's this one up here. And yeah, this was $50 on Amazon. $50. These are kind of, I think a lot of them are all made in the same factory, honestly. But, and then, yeah, this was definitely overkill. I got an AMD Ryzen 9. Well, where does it say? It's a 9900X. So yeah, pretty excited about that. I mean, I could have got a Ryzen 7, but I had the money. I've always bought 7s before. I've never had a 9. And I just thought I would go ahead and get a big boy. I again don't really need it, but for gaming, I think it's definitely overkill. But I do a lot of video editing, and again, I do work as a computer programmer. Sometimes on my own time, I do compile things, and having a bigger CPU is nice for that too. But video editing, it should help the speed up there, I would hope. And then the case is a DI, because the power switch was busted on the other one, but I think other than that, it was okay. But I'll end up using that other case for another project I've got in mind, so it's not going to waste. But yeah, this is the new case, and it's, if I can get this off one-handed. Should have took this off ahead of time, but anyway, you can see it's white, obviously, and it's one of the dual chambers, so it's got the power supply goes here. Really wish I could get this off one-handed, but there we go. It's gonna happen. I should have got my tripod, but I didn't think I would need both hands here. But yeah, that's where the power supply goes, and I don't have any hard drives that I'm going to be putting in it. But I really like the look of this case, and takes three fans on that side there. And you can put your AIO on top, and then you can put 3 fans on the bottom, and then one in the back, and it comes with those 3 fans, and then it comes with one in the back already. So I mean, and the case was 70 something bucks, 76, 77. It's DiyPC. I don't know if I said that. I really like their cases. I've bought several over the years. I used to use those cheap Apivia cases, but DiyPC has kind of took over the economy type cases, which there's nothing wrong with them. They're great cases. Why more people don't use them, really, I guess because they don't cost much. but it's got a USB-C connector up here, so that's something that I wanted too. And I wanted these to be on the top over here, and as opposed to the other one, they were down here. The way I have my computer set up at my desk, it just would work out a lot better if the USB port was up there, the easily accessible one, and not down here. So, and the graphics card, I went ahead and got a new graphics card. It hasn't came in yet, so if I do build everything, it's Friday, so I'm gonna go see Project Hail Mary, and when I get back, I'm gonna start working on this. But I'm gonna put my RTX 4060 in it just for a few days. But the graphics card that I got coming from Newegg, it was open box. It's a Radeon 9060 XT 16 gig model. It's white, and it's got 3 fans. It was $399, which is that's definitely a lot less than MSRP. But you can't get these cards for MSRP right now. They're all selling for, at least generally, I'd say over about $100 over MSRP, at least on the 9060s and the 5060 Tis. I wanted a 5060 Ti. I really don't do the Radeon thing. I've had a couple a long time ago, like 15, 20 years ago, maybe. I had some, but I've always, I'd say for 20 years I've been NVIDIA strictly, and I've always wanted to try one, and especially with the way that the GPU's technology is going. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Moore's Law, and it's how now it's probably going to track GPUs. So I expect GPUs to get outdated very quick. And so I said, I wanted the 5060 Ti, but I said to myself, it's probably better. Let's get the 9060 and pay $400, and then I'll probably run that for a couple years. And then when the 60 series comes out, or when AMD releases their new series, I'll probably just upgrade in a couple years. So I don't, theoretically, I'll probably only have the card for a couple of years. I've only had the 4060 for a couple of years, so I think just upgrading every couple of years to the kind of like the mid-tier cards or something is going to be my strategy going forward. So, and then I'll take whenever I upgrade, my wife and 2 daughters, they have gaming computers, so it'll just kind of get handed, rolled down. My wife's about to get my 4060. And when the 9060 gets outdated, whoever needs it the most, I think my youngest daughter's got a 1060, so she'll probably get it, and then so on and so forth. But anyway, I'm going to get started building this thing, and we'll take you along. Oh boy, what a build this has turned out to be. So yesterday, just was really taking my time trying to kind of enjoy the process. I used to love building computers, and I got everything up, got it working, and went into the BIOS and made sure the temperatures were good. That's the first thing I do when I boot up a new system, as I go in the BIOS and make sure the CPU is not overheating. I've learned that hard lesson before. The only setting that I changed was I told it to boot. I changed the boot order from Windows Boot Manager or UEFI Boot Manager up to the thumb drive, because I was going to reinstall Windows. So I changed that, hit save, and the thing just crashed hardcore. Would not come back on. Nothing on the monitor. The computer was actually on. The fans were on and everything, but nothing would appear on the monitor. And one of the things about this computer that's really odd for me is there's no piezo. And so I guess to find errors, there's supposed to be some lights that show up maybe near the 24-pin connector, but no LED indicator lights were on. And so I should have read the manual a little bit more careful. But I said, okay, let me clear the CMOS. So I came back here and pressed this button because I thought that this cleared the CMOS, because I've had some motherboards that have kind of like a quick clear thing back here, and that's not what that does. On this board, this is to update the BIOS. So I thought, okay, because I remember I thought that I had cleared the BIOS when I hadn't. So I went to bed, got up this morning, and I had some stuff going on this morning. It was Palm Sunday, and so I didn't get home till later this afternoon. Took a nap, and then I thought, let me read the manual and make sure that I did clear the CMOS, or let's just do it the old-fashioned way. So I came down here and just put a screwdriver on the CMOS jumper, and it let me back into the CMOS again, and it was kind of the same thing. I tried to change the setting, and then I had to end up clearing it one more time. And so I went to ASUS's website and I looked at all the BIOS updates, and there was the very last update actually applies to stability and boot issues with the Ryzen 9 9000 series. So I don't know if that was the only update that was causing, or I should say, I don't know if the bugs and bug fixes in that update were actually what was causing it, because it was such a really big cumulative update. The motherboard had actually the original firmware from when ASUS actually designed this board. It had never been updated at all. It just had the original. So there was 8 or 10 updates. So I just did an accumulative one. And knock on wood, it seems to be okay now. I had it booting up and trying to install Windows, but because of me thinking something else was wrong, I had swapped the video card and swapped that new power supply to another one that I had, just because I didn't know what was going on. And same thing, I swapped the RAM around and no go. So anyway, should have read the instructions better. A little bit bummed about these not having a piezo. That's something I'm going to have to get used to. I mean, 35 years of hearing a beep or not a beep when the computer comes on, or a series of beeps or long beeps. It's kind of like Pavlovian response for me. So yeah, I'm going to have to adapt and change, I guess. But I think it's going to work. I just was working on kind of getting it cable managed here a little bit, and it's pretty close. I got a little bit more I want to do, but it's a lot of zip ties you go through doing this. But really love this dual chamber case. It's so awesome. So glad I got a dual chambered case. This was definitely worth the money for the upgrade. Love how the cable management works and the cable routing in general, and being able to put 3 fans at the bottom, whereas my other one I can only put 2. And these fans were the original fans in the case. They're reverse flow, and the description, maybe it did say that, I don't remember, but the way I had installed it originally was my fans. These were the ones I bought that came in this box right here. They were on the bottom, and the pretty side of the blade was up, so it was actually pushing warm air out the bottom, and I didn't really like that. I like fresh air coming from the bottom. Heat rises, and I don't know, I just like the idea of hot air blowing out the bottom. I'm just kind of weird that way. There's nothing wrong with it, but just personal preference. I don't like it. So after I had got everything cable managed pretty much, and got it the way I liked it, I had to swap these 3 fans for these. So I just swapped them around, and yeah, that was a really rough deal because of all the cables that had to be routed back around and down through these tiny holes down here, and plus 24 screws to take in and out. That was not fun. So a few other things to note. So this inexpensive cooler, really like that so far. Seems to be working pretty good. I mean, not running the OS, just kind of hanging out in the BIOS. CPUs running in the 30s. mid to 35, 38C, somewhere in there. And I don't know what speed the fans are at. I haven't set the fans up. I mean, I think they were running at a pretty low speed. But one thing about this nicer Asus motherboard is I've never seen this before. Maybe it's getting to be common, but there's no I/O back plate. Those plates are such a pain. I hate them. I've always hated dealing with them. This is kind of embarrassing, but when I was younger, like 20 years ago, like sometimes I just wouldn't even put them on. But that was back in the old, when we didn't have nice clear cases, and when we had the SCSI and IDE and all that stuff, and people didn't care about the looks of their computer back then. But bugs would get in there if you didn't, so I started putting them on. But this is just a solid piece, and it's kind of built into this heatsink right here. And I just love that. You just slide the board in there, and there's nothing to it, and it's everything. You don't have those little lips from that cheap sheet metal kind of getting hung sometimes, and it making it to where you can't get your connectors in perfectly. I mean, it's just really nice. That's just super nice. That's worth it. I mean, paying a little extra for a motherboard, I'm not okay. It's just personal preference. I don't like spending gobs of money on a motherboard, but little things like that, when you spend like an extra 20 or 30 bucks, that kind of makes it worth it. What else? The heat sink for the M.2. This one didn't. You can use 3 M.2s, but it only comes with a heat sink for one. So I guess if you want to buy more heat sinks, maybe they just sell the heat sink. I don't know. Would assume so. Love the color of the board. They have the 2 of the ARGB connectors are up here in the corner, and that makes it so much easier to plug them in. And I don't know if it's these cheap connectors. This is a 1 to 3 adapter that I got on Amazon, a couple of them. And I don't know if it's that or just the quality of the motherboard, but when I plug them in, they stay, and they kind of have like actually a little positive click, like a little snap to them. And I've never seen that with an ARGB connector before. So I thought that was really nice. But yeah, I'm going to get Windows installed, and we'll take a look at the temps and whatnot, and hopefully everything will be hunky-dory from this point on. I'm sure I'm hoping and praying for clear skies and calm waters. So just kind of some general advice here, but this is some of the things I use when I do work on computers. But I don't know if I showed this earlier or not, but this is a little tackle box thing that I got from like Walmart or something. And you can buy kits that already have this, like excess screws and stuff in them, but if you just save ones from different builds, you basically never have to buy any. And so here's my little bitty screws for M.2s. Here's these little covers and keepers for your ARGB connectors. Various fan screws, screws for hard drives, motherboard, standoffs, just all kinds of extra thumb screws. I got some piezos in here. It's pretty much just anything I would need. It's just really nice to have this stuff here and have it in this little box that I can just close up and then get out when I'm working. When I need screws, or if I drop one and lose it, I can pick one up out of here. And then these magnetic trays, like you get from Harbor Freight, they're very helpful too. But these, when you've got a whole lot of different screw types, especially when some of them are kind of like special. I noticed like my power supply had thumb screws, for example, kind of a different thread. What I like to do is get either a bunch of small coffee cups or one, like just a cheap divided plate. And this kind of gives you a little more room to work, and you can put some types of screws here, here, and here, or if you've got lots of little parts. Like for example, when I opened up my cooler, I just dumped all the parts in here. and that way I wouldn't get them mixed up with anything else, and then I could kind of pick through and figure out what I needed. I've got my screwdriver set from Harbor Freight. I love this screwdriver set. I've got 2 of them, and they are really, really great. Just, they're not expensive, but they're just my favorite electronic screwdrivers. This part spins, and they're just very nice for the money. They're just nice anyway. Most of my videos I do electronics repair, and if you watch any, you'll see those are my screwdrivers. And these are also good for if you do electronics repair, you're already going to have some of these. I use these to snip leads off, and these are good. The best thing that you can have to cut zip ties, especially because they're kind of angled, and kind of helps you keep from accidentally cutting something else. But you can get these in 5 packs and just use one for a long time until they get dull. And then the other thing I like to do, and this is going to sound kind of lame, but each time I do a build, so I might have one of these for 2 or 3 different computers in the house, but I call this a build bag. And this is the leftover parts that kind of go with that build. So these are the pieces from my modular power supply that I didn't use. And there's stuff there's a Ziploc bag in here. These are the parts that are left over from the cooler that's in there. So this is what you would have used if you had an Intel, basically, is all that is. And I'll probably never need it. But the thing that I've learned, if you're going to be a computer nerd, is people, a lot of times they'll give you old computers and parts and stuff. They'll be like, hey, I got some old computers. Do you want them? And I've always been able to make use out of that stuff. And if you've got parts laying around, it can help you to upgrade those or to use them, increase the compatibility, I would say, with stuff that you might already have. So, for example, if someone gave me an older Intel computer, or if I got one cheap or something, if one day maybe I could move this cooler over to there if I wanted to. I don't know. I can't really think of any reason why I would, but I don't like to throw that stuff away because you never know. And I'll throw it away eventually. I'm not going to keep it forever, but then here's the little PCI slot cut. These are actually, they have a screw hole. They're not breakaway. I really like that. So I put those in there. So anyway, everything associated with this build that's left over, and I'm not even done putting stuff in here, but it'll go in this bag. And then sometimes I'll even put this into the motherboard box. And eventually, like so long from now, I'll go through and throw away the motherboard box. And then eventually I'll come and just maybe several years from now, I'll come through and I'll say, okay, the last time I built a computer, I had this bag of leftover parts. What do I need? What do I don't need? I'll go through and clear this stuff out just so I'm not pack ratting it. But if you're a computer nerd, it's just really good to keep that extra stuff around. And then I always like to keep a C15 around and put that in stuff like this. That way, if I'm doing some testing and stuff, I've got it handy. But anyway, the computer's up and working. I got Windows installed on it. Got all the RGB working. And I don't have the fan speeds set or anything. And my white video card doesn't come in. The 9060 XT is still running the black RTX 4060 until I can get that part in a couple of days. But it's working good. And the antenna for that motherboard, which I haven't hooked up yet, it's magnetic. So that's really cool. Well, there it is with the new 9060 XT graphics card. Again, got that on an open box deal, and always a little nervous about that, but it worked out great. There is I believe it's a double female RGB cable, and I need that to connect the RGB for the card to the motherboard. So it's just the RGBs on it are kind of doing their own thing. So I'll have to find a cable but that card, I played Starfield for about 30 minutes, and it was just rocking it. I mean, it's just crushing it in 2K, 140, 150 frames per second with everything pretty much maxed out. Interesting thing, before I put this graphics card in, I had the RTX 4060, which was what I've been using for a couple years, and having this bigger CPU, the Ryzen 9 versus the Ryzen 750 in Call of Duty. I've been running it Black Ops 7 in 1080, even though my monitor's 2K, because it just couldn't handle it. And I wouldn't think getting a more powerful CPU would make that much of a difference, but it actually did. I was getting 120 frames per second in 2K, and then before it would never even get 100. So I was kind of surprised about that. But from what little bit I've tested this card so far, I'm very impressed with the performance for the money. It's absolutely, it's running great, and it runs so cool and quiet too. I was kind of surprised about that. It's after 30 minutes in Starfield, I think the GPU was running at 62, and the fans were just barely audible. So I was very impressed. But anyway, I appreciate y'all hanging out and going through this whole rigmarole with me. I really thought it was going to be a simple power supply change. And the old parts that I have, I'm going to be building my wife, upgrading her computer. So we'll kind of find out whether it really was the CPU or the cooler, although I'm sure it was the cooler. But anyway, we'll catch you on the next one.